Hi, I'm Ty with Spicy Exotics. Today this video is going to demonstrate the different varieties of dragon fruit and how they compare in size, texture, and taste. What we're going to do is we're going to compare each one externally and talk about it. Then we're going to slice them open and do a comparison, and then finally we're going to do a taste test. So let's take a closer look at each variety that we have. First, as we take a look, some of the fruit have ruptured. For an example, we have a ruptured fruit here, and over on this side we have a ruptured fruit here. This is from over ripening. Basically, the different varieties fruited during different times, and in an effort to try to collect as many different fruit as possible, they were left on the vine a little bit longer. So please pardon the fact that they're ruptured, and we'll continue on. For demonstration purposes, we have things sorted out here with purple, pink, white, and red flesh. Starting off, we have a physical graffiti, we have a cosmic Charlie, we have a purple haze, a delight, a Halley's Comet. Over on this side, we have a Macasupa, Thai dragon, Vietnamese white, pink panther, and Hello Sirius costarricensis. Once again, we have the purple, pink, and white and red. Now, in looking at the purple varieties, they're all very closely related. In perspective to what we're looking at, this purple haze is nearly a 2-pound fruit, 1 3/4 pound to be specific. This physical graffiti is a 1-pound fruit. It can grow, or it is quite similar to a purple haze, and as you can see, they look very, very similar in texture. Just one's larger than the other, and this is simply based off of flower thinning on the vine. There was more concentration or more energy on the vine that allowed this fruit to be bigger. Cosmic Charlie is also very similar to those varieties. This particular fruit is about 1/2 pound. Over on this side, we have a 1/2 pound pink panther, which may get to 3/4 pound. And we have a Hello Sirius costarricensis that is about 3/4 pound. So in perspective, almost 2 pounds to a 1/2 pound fruit. Taking a look at the scales of the fruit, you can see all the purple varieties are all quite similar, with green scales, pink flesh. Some scales look a little more defined, like this Halley's Comet. It's more of a fresher fruit, whereas some of the other fruit, like this Delight, was on the vine a little bit longer. So it's going to have some differentiation between one fruit to the next. Also the size. Over on this side, this Thai dragon was on the vine for very long. It has a thin skin. It's a white flesh fruit, and you can see the green fins are starting to turn brown. Likewise with the Vietnamese White. Over here, this Macasupa ruptured. It was on the vine for very long, and the green fins began to turn brown. The Hello Sirius costarricensis is probably was picked right in the time frame that it needed to be picked. And likewise with the pink panther. Actually, we have a little rupture, so maybe it was a little overripe. So let's get started and cut a few of these dragon fruit open. We'll do a comparison of the purple first. Halley's Comet. and taking a closer look at that. Halley's Comet has a nice deep purple flesh. I'm gonna go ahead and slice open the physical graffiti. As you can see, the flesh a little whiter, closer to a pink. And Cosmic Charlie. Very similar to Halley's Comet, a little bit darker than the physical graffiti. And then the last purple variety we have here is Purple Haze. We'll continue on cutting these other varieties. Here's the Delight. It's a pink flesh variety. You can see, much wider. And over on this side, Hello Sirius Costarricensis. Nice red. Pink Panther. A little bit deeper red. Seeds seem to be a little bit, I guess, larger. Gives it a little bit more crunchier flavor. And Makasupa. Deep red, not nearly as deep as the Pink Panther is, but yet we look at a comparison, still a little darker than Halley's Comet and the other purple varieties. And then let's take a look at a few of the whites. I'm going to clean this up a little because this red juice stains and I don't want it to affect the white color once we cut into it. You can see here has a nice white flesh. Notice the peel, very thin, has a very thin wall. And here, lastly, we have Vietnamese White. And we'll take a comparison in those two white fruit. Vietnamese is a little pure white where you have a little gray. And the final thing we're going to do is a little taste test comparison. And based off of my experience, I'm not going to taste all of these, but I'll just share, I'm going to taste a few of them and share what the tastes are like with the other varieties here. Simply because I don't feel like, or I'm not up to eating several different varieties of dragon fruit in one night. First, my favorite, physical graffiti. I'm gonna go ahead and slice off a little piece here and give that a taste. Very nice. So, physical graffiti is one of my favorites. Has a hint of sweet, well, has a very nice sweetness to it with a tangy flavor. Never lets me down. Very consistent in its flavor. Has a hint of what some people call a grape or kiwi I think it's a taste combination between a sweetness and tangy flavor towards the end. Let's try this Cosmic Charlie. It has the same sweetness flavor to it, but it's not as complex, meaning it's kind of missing that great flavor that follows the sweetness, which makes it more complex. The Physical Graffiti does. So that was Cosmic Charlie, just a sweeter. Typically, your larger fruit are going to have more complex flavors also. So Cosmic Charlie this year has been a very good fruit in flavor, ranging from 19 to 20 bricks on a sugar scale of 1 to 32. And anything above 20 is a decent amount of sugar in the fruit. So it has the sweetness, but beyond having just sweetness, I like the other flavors that come along with it. But it does lack the comparison when we look at a Physical Graffiti. Let's try this fruit here, which is the rather large Purple Haze, which is very similar. Both the plant and the fruit is quite similar to a Physical Graffiti. And rivals it in flavor also. In fact, without scientific study being done, I could almost swear that those particular fruit are identical. Let's try Delight, or we're going to stick on the purples because I want to try this Halley's Comet. So Halley's Comet, having the purple flesh like its relatives here, has a little more earthy flavor to it. Has some sweetness, but it's lacking that bite. So I would prefer Purple Haze or Physical Graffiti over the other varieties. Let's try the Delight. Now, Delight this year has had, on the brick scale of sweetness, the fruit this year ranged from 18 to 20 bricks. Nicely sweet, a little earthy, but still very good tasting fruit, very easy to grow. One other thing I wanted to mention, most of the purples are not self-pollinating. So, which means it needs a pollinator to produce fruit. That's not the case with Delight, and it produces a great fruit. So, it's always a good choice. And it's one of the few varieties that is actually considered a pink fleshed with pink skin. One of my new favorites here, Helloceras costarricensis. Native to Costa Rica, your red flesh varieties are going to be higher in antioxidants. Right off the bat, nice, sweet, tangy flavor, very firm flesh. The seeds are a little crunchier, maybe a little larger than the other varieties. So it has a unique flavor in comparison to some of the other varieties, where when I was eating a Physical Graffiti, I definitely taste the difference between a Cosmic Charlie and a Halley's Comet, but this particular variety did have a sweetness, but it also had a sour aspect to it, which I like that. I'm gonna try this Pink Panther. I know I said I wasn't gonna try each of the varieties, but I sure seem to be going through each one. I guess I'm getting a little carried away. Once again, red, high in antioxidants. Very similar to the Haloceres costarricensis. Maybe even a little firmer. The seeds are very noticeable. However, a little bit less sweetness to it. I did some Brix tests on it. Internet research has shown that Brix rating on Pink Panther has been between 18 and 20, similar to the other varieties. That hasn't been the case for me this year. I've produced probably 20 pounds of fruit off of one plant, and the Brix rating I received were 15 to 16, so a little bit less sweet. It did have a sweetness factor to it. However, I didn't find it as desirable as some of the internet descriptions said about the plant. And Macasupa, I'm not going to jump into it. Its flavor rating this year has been around a 15 Brix. It produces an abundance of fruit and mildly sweet, a little tangy, but not, it's mild on both aspects. So great pollinator. Its pollen can be used to cross other varieties, and real aggressive growing plant also. I do want to slice open Vietnamese White, very common through Asia, was imported. And what I like about this particular variety, very crisp, firm. Some of these varieties were chilled, which I would always recommend chilling any of the fruit before eating, at least 4 to 6 hours. So it has a tangy flavor. It really does lack the sweetness. However, the tanginess is very interesting. I find it to be more of a cosmetic fruit. It's very, the contrast between white and pink, it's unique like no other. And I think it has grown its popularity because of it. The white flesh varieties. This particular white flesh, it lacks flavor as far as sweetness goes, but it does have that tanginess, a little hint of earthiness towards the end, which I don't find to be very desirable, but that's my opinion. And lastly, we have Thai Dragon. Thai Dragon is a white flesh variety. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Thai Dragon, unlike Vietnamese White, it replaces its tanginess with sweetness. So it has a mildly sweet flavor with a very strong earthiness aftertaste. It's real interesting because as I've taste tested with friends and family, you either hate or you like this variety. It's quite interesting with the white flesh and the pink skin, but it's real unique the fact that you have a slightly different shade of white, with one being sweet and one being tangy. Neither one is my particular favorite. If I had to say my favorite of all is the first one we tried, which is the physical graffiti. Its complex flavors of tanginess and unique flavor, that great hint kiwi type flavor. And then of course Purple Haze and physical graffiti taste quite similar to one another. So I'm picking one, but to me they're one and the same. And then my second would be the Hilo Series Coaster Census. Its texture being firmer, along with both the mildly sweet and tangy flavor that it finishes up your mouth with, is very unique, unlike any of the others. And that concludes our comparison with the different varieties of dragon fruit. Thank you for watching.